Hello there, Happy New Year, and welcome to a brand new episode of our DCD Talk series, where we profile the individuals and companies continuing to drive the data center industry forward. I'm absolutely delighted and a little bit nervous today to be joined by Doug Adams, the Global CEO at NTT Global Data Centers. Doug, thanks ever so much for being with us. We've managed to get you in the recording studio just ahead of PTC, where I believe you're giving the keynote, so I very much appreciate the time.
Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me the time, Dan. I'm really excited about being here today and want to thank you for all of the leadership and information that you've provided within our industry. I think DCD has risen to be really the premier source of information for our industry. So congratulations on everything you've done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We'll dive in a little bit, and I like to tee up this talk series by really looking at the career journeys at the heart of the industry. And this is a time where we've got huge workforce demands. We want to attract a lot of new people into the sector. I really like to profile the career journeys of some of the industry's foremost executives. And maybe you can talk us through your own sort of career journey. It's been a sort of hugely interesting 20 plus year one for you with Raging Rye as well prior to this most recent role. How have you seen your time in the data center industry so far?
Absolutely. So I've been at this for 25 years now. Myself and a couple partners started a company in the US called Raging Wire, which was one of the very early data center providers. We lived through the dot-com boom. We saw the ups, we saw the downs. We were one of the fortunate ones that actually made it through that very tumultuous period within our industry. And in 2013, we sold to NTT and became part of the NTT platform. I stuck around to run the US business for NTT. And NTT was an amalgam of eShelter within Europe, Raging Wire within the US, NetMagic within India, and then the legacy assets within Asia. And in a year and a half ago, I was asked by NTT to step up to a global position where I took these four disparate entities and created one true global company. So we'd always had four very strong assets within the NTT portfolio. We marketed them as one entity. Frankly, we were kind of autonomous, separate entities. Over the last year and a half, we've now turned GDC into one true global company. So we have a global management team that all the 3,700 employees report up to within each of the functions. And what were the existing regions, we've transitioned to, instead of having regional CEOs, we've transitioned to regional managing directors. And those regional managing directors ensure that we have client and employee intimacy and understand the local markets. And then the functional heads is where we really have the governance and the process and the standardization aligned across all the companies. So we are what you call a global company. We have the functional alignment for the process and standardization done globally. And then we have local intimacy through the managing directors that reside within each of the four regions, which for us is Asia, India, EMEA, and US. So it's been a really fun journey. And I've really enjoyed the last 25 years and the growth and the pace that our industry's been growing at.
Yeah, an incredible 25 years and a storied one. And you talked about the growth that we're now seeing, almost unprecedented again, and maybe a corollary there, even with this sort of initial internet age that you spoke to. And it won't surprise any of our listeners to know that I'm going to quiz you on AI and all things sustainability in a little bit. Before I do that, I think the differentiation and the work you've had to do as a global leader over that past 18 months has been really fascinating. And when you have four sort of behemoth companies in their own right, aligning everyone behind that one coherent vision and winning hearts and minds can be quite a challenge. And even just a tiny microcosm of that DCD completed its first acquisition last year. It acquired Data Center Nation, a fellow media business. We set up a sister business, Yotta, in the US, who run a large Vegas event, which hopefully we can get you guys to. And even that's been hard in terms of making sure we're sticking to our sort of vision and we're being true to ourselves as a business. And that's not even a millionth of the scale that you guys are operating at. So talk me through that as the CEO and how you're able to align that and make sure everyone's sort of unified behind the overall goal there.
Yeah, so good, super good question. What I've learned over the course of the last year and a half is it's really important to create a vision for the employees and to create alignment around that vision. So much of my time is spent traveling the globe, meeting with our employees. I do a quarterly communication meeting where I do an all hands in each of the 4 regions. And then immediately preceding that, I meet with the executive management teams, and then we usually do a lunch or dinner with the employees. It is incredibly important to gain alignment and to have people buy into that vision. They need to understand strategically where you're going as a company, why that's important, and the role they fit within that so that they can be part of the solution. And so that gaining alignment is super important. And there's a simple read out there book called called CEO 2.0. And it talks about this flywheel of painting the vision, communicating the vision, making the company autonomous. It's a complete flywheel that ends with positive reinforcement of your momentum. And it's a really quick, short read if anyone is interested. It really honestly is what I use to chart the course for GDC, and I continue to use it. It's a great strategy, and I cannot emphasize enough. In my 25 years of doing this, the number one thing I've learned is it's about alignment with the teams beneath you and making sure they understand the vision and how they play and where they fit into that vision and how they can contribute to that vision. Once you have that and you get the hearts and minds and souls on board, it becomes a lot easier. That to me is the most difficult piece is gaining that alignment. And remember, data centers are just high-tech buildings. I mean, I love data center business. This is the only business that I want to be in for the rest of my career. But at the end of the day, there's not a tremendous amount of difference within how each of the operators builds and operates their facilities. I'd argue some maybe operate at a higher level than I think we do, but the buildings themselves are fairly similar. The difference is the people. And so if you have excited employees with strong morale, they're going to create a better customer experience. And that to me is really the differentiator that I look for.
I love that. Thank you, Doug. And I think sometimes as a media business, we can be a bit guilty of jumping straight to the latest technology and jumping on the buzzwords, as it were. And so it's part of the reason I love this talk series is it really puts the people back at the heart of the industry. So it's a great reminder for everyone listening in, and it's been key to the successful integration that you've been able to orchestrate over the past 18 months or so. It tees back up. It brings us back to a sort of company level view as we kick off 2025. DCD's web traffic's hit 16 million. Even our own intelligence analysts here.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And our own analysts here have got the compound annual growth rate of the industry at about 20%. So it's important to remember that and to maybe bring up everyone a little bit up to speed with the scale that NTT is now operating at. I think you've now reached over 150 data centers across 20 plus countries. Give us a little bit of an update as to the scale of operations at the moment. You're the 3rd largest global operator. It's quite something. Maybe you can bring everyone up to speed a little bit on current outlook there.
Absolutely. So it changes every day. Right now, I think we're at 156 data centers, if I remember correctly, operating in 20 different countries. We've got about 3,700 OTs, full-time employees. FT, excuse me, employees across the globe. We are truly one of the only global data center organizations, and we are growing 20 to 25% year over year every year. So we're actually outpacing the industry guidelines, and managing that size and scope and scale is really the heart of what we do as a business. Scaling a multi-billion-dollar business 20% year over year is difficult. That's not for the faint of heart. But the benefit it brings to our employees through their career path and through their potential development as individuals, and for our customers to be able to have one contract and be able to take space down in Tokyo and Frankfurt and Dallas, Texas. That's a very important key piece for our customers, as well as that consistency, right? The ability to walk into any data center globally and have it similar. It's not exactly the same because we are an amalgam of 4 different companies, but as we standardize and grow the business, our new facilities are much more similar than dissimilar, and our customers have a much better universal customer experience. That's the challenge, and that's what makes life fun for, I think, me and the team, is to do those things and ensure that we have a really good platform for our customers.
No, it's great, and it comes back into that sort of global. I liked the term earlier. That's the advantage that it gives to your customer set, and particularly at this time of unpredictability to a degree in terms of customer workloads, and we're seeing almost hockey stick-like projections for the impact of AI and the impact that may have on capacity requirements. So to be able to have that flexibility and that connectivity and the consistent approach, I think in a world of unpredictability at the moment, that predictability is pretty key when it comes to partnerships. So it answers the question really well. I want to come on and talk a little bit about the response to some of these challenges. A particular big one has been around AI and the workloads. We're seeing the hardware evolution really accelerate, and the investment into R&D required to keep up with that. We're seeing sustainability increasingly under the spotlight. So maybe we can take on these trends sort of one-on-one and give us a little bit of a strategic outlook across 2025. Firstly, in what you're expecting in terms of workloads and AI and demand that your customers are currently putting on yourself.
So, super good question. What's interesting is, from my perspective, scale is the key piece to the data center business. Scale and standardization, to me, are the most important pieces for the data center business. That scale provides you the low cost and operational efficiencies, and standardization is how you get that. And so we have made tremendous strides with the AI providers and the hyperscalers on producing liquid to the chip data centers. So we have over 250 megawatts in the US alone currently of liquid to the chip infrastructure. Very few providers, even I think some of our larger competitors, cannot make those statements. I do a lot of traveling around. I participate in quite a few conferences, and I'll be sitting in a panel next to someone and they'll talk about they're ready, they can do it. We're doing it. We're absolutely doing it. And having done this again for 25 years, I'm used to doing air-cooled facilities, which as an industry we've nailed. We have air-cooled technology down perfectly. Water to the chip is different. It is a new technology. It is yet unproven in exactly how we're going to deploy it. So I can tell you that because we have some of the largest providers within our portfolio, that we've worked side by side with them, adopting and creating what their standards are and how we do liquid to the chip. So we have incredible learnings in place on liquid to the chip, which I think is a very, very important differentiator for us. and frankly, it is much different than the current era technology, and it changes every day. And it's still not at the point where it's truly standardized. But because we've co-developed with some of the chip providers and AI providers, I think we've got our arms around it at a level that most other providers don't have. So, for an innovation standpoint, I'm very proud of what my team's done around liquid to chip deployments. We've also, by the way, done liquid immersive deployments, not at the same scale we've done liquid to chip, but we've got some very interesting learnings on liquid immersion as well. And so we're very prepared for the future on new data centers. And we're finding that our new data centers are kind of at that 70% liquid to chip. It's still 30% air cooled, and you have the capabilities of both to really manage efficient facilities going forward. That's part of the reason, by the way, we've grown and outpaced the industry, is because we've embraced the liquid to the chip and have built these new modern facilities.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you. And I think on our site last year, we had readership on stories tagged liquid cooling increased 600% year on year. So it really does feel like a whole new paradigm. And as you say, people's response has been maybe a little conservative because the standards aren't sort of fully yet there yet. And I think that's a theme for this discussion. We talked about the importance of putting people at the heart of growth in your own career journey. And I think the work that you're doing with your partners there to co-develop and co-deploy and make sure that you've got that availability online is, again, at a time when technology is making the headlines. It's the partnerships that are sort of behind that are driving that growth. So a really great point to make. And interesting that you're able to deploy both within the same facility as well, because I know there's a lot of sort of struggle with that, a lot of sort of coming to terms with how to do liquid and air within the same facility. And again, it comes back to that pain point on customer flexibility there.
Yeah.
I want to come back and pick up the sustainability piece, which is also key. It's another unstoppable force. But before I do, you mentioned that investment into development and co-developing with partners. That R&D thread is also at the heart of not just GDC, but wider NTT thinking historically. Do you want to talk a little bit about that R&D focus and R&D as a differentiator? Because I think that's another interesting part of the overall NTT story as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at GDC, which again is the 3,700 person entity that has all the data centers globally, the next level up is NTT Data, which is a 150,000 person organization. And then the parent company is the 315,000 person NTT Holdings company. And if you look at the commitment around R&D, we spend billions of dollars globally on different topics from cryptography to liquid to chip cooling to AI. We are a large global technology company that is A credit rated. And so with 300 plus thousand employees and over $100 billion in revenue. So although we, GDC, are the third largest data center provider globally, our parent company dwarfs our larger competitors in size at over $100 billion. So we have that incredible, solid backing from a Japanese company that plans 30 years out. And I think that is one of our major differentiators. And it also gives us access to literally billions of dollars of R&D done globally, and brother and sister companies that can provide incredible services to our clients, because we will not only service the hyperscalers and AI providers, but we also, especially in Asia and Europe, have a very strong retail and enterprise presence. And our customers are able to enjoy all the services from the NTT portfolio of customers around security and asset management, et cetera. So it's really exciting to be part of a larger entity and be able to bring those things to bear to our customers.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I think it's reflected on things like the liquid cooling deep dive we just done, to be able to building or deploying 70% liquid cooled in your sort of net new facilities. I think that's a huge thing versus where the sort of benchmark is right now. So it's clearly having an impact.
Yeah, and with the liquid cooling, I was just thinking about our previous conversation. One of the things that we've done, which I'm so proud of our team, I have an amazing team, by the way. I would say the best team in the industry. Because liquid cooling has been relatively, is new. We didn't have liquid to chip, excuse me, cooling. We didn't have devices to test them. So my team created the devices to actually test the equipment, because when you put it in production, you need to test it before you actually deploy it. And there was nothing available. And so we developed the equipment to do it ourselves. And that equipment, I think some of our customers are actually using in other deployments because they were so pleased with it.
Yeah, I love that. And again, it's been the thread of this sort of 20 minutes or so far. It's people at the heart of it. And I want to come on and address the sustainability piece. NTT have been very supportive of a lot of the initiatives and have made considerable pledges towards carbon neutrality and emissions. And again, that stems from the culture at the parent level all the way through GDC as well. Do you want to talk about the view on sustainability as we move into 2025? Because I think data centers are increasingly finding themselves in mainstream press, and there's still quite a bit of maybe education to do on the progress that we are making as an industry on some of these sustainability initiatives. Maybe you can give us the NTT viewpoint on some of those.
Absolutely. So at NTT, sustainability is not just words. It is something we truly believe in, and like others, we've made commitments to be carbon neutral by 2030. Further commitments beyond that. But I think one of the things that's very unique about NTT is the fact that we're part of a 300,000 person parent company. We've actually made a commitment to sustainability to donate 1 million people hours to help with sustainability. We've created a $3.7 billion green bond. It is truly something that starts at the very, very top of the organization, a gentleman named Shimada-san, who's the CEO of the holding company that cascades down through every employee. We truly believe in sustainability, and it's at the heart of everything we do. Also, social responsibility is incredibly important to us. I just got back from a trip to India, and they were sharing some of the things that we've done where we've actually created water retention ponds for areas that were arid and had issues with water. We planted thousands of trees in an area that was deforested out of India. We provide lunches to, I don't remember the exact number of students, but many, many, many students in areas that are underprivileged. They have a truck that they take around India to different schools to explain sustainability and technology to try to help educate the younger children. So it's not just sustainability. We made a commitment to the environment and to the communities we operate in.
I love that point. Thank you, Doug. And actually, as part of our DCD awards program, NTT has won awards over the past couple of years for sustainability work. That project you just described was a finalist this year as well. And our editor, Dan Swinho, also spoke to you recently, Doug. We'll link that article as well for more information on that. It's a truly great project. And I think at a time that we are more under scrutiny as an industry, we need to be better stewards of the communities that we're serving. And I think that project's a fantastic example of that. It's been a real pleasure having you back in the studio and a bit of an overdue catch up. Good luck with everything at PTC this week. I'm sure your keynote will be a smash hit, and we'll hopefully be back on the DCD stage in New York this March. I know GDC and Beijing Ra, even before that, were big supporters. We really appreciate it, and we're 20 years in New York this year. So great to have your continued support there. It's always a pleasure catching up, Doug, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Appreciate the time. I hope you have a wonderful month. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in, and goodbye for now.